Okay.
Thousands of messages shared in a group chat of young Republicans is revealing some racist thoughts that they even worried about being leaked. Well, those exchanges have been leaked, obtained by Politico, and are part of a Telegram chat among young Republican leaders in the following states: New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. New York State politics reporter Jason Bieferman is one of the journalists who wrote about this for Politico. Jason, tell us about this story, how it came to you, and what...
This is the least shocking revelation for someone like myself. Maybe that's what it is. Because, like, of course they're like that. I will be honest, I don't think this kind of stuff has motion anymore. I don't think people care. It's the least surprising thing of all time. But you have to remember, this kind of stuff only mattered if people in positions of power actually had a sense of dignity and shame. On the Democratic Party side, I think there is still some semblance of dignity and shame, or at least like an aesthetic posture towards dignity and shame, which they often weaponize against their enemies, or try to weaponize against the Republicans. It doesn't work, but they try to weaponize against like their left flank, and it does kind of work because the left is the only suckers in the game that are super predisposed to not understanding like the complexities of human beings and will measure you on the virtues of like what you represent in that immediate moment. But even when it goes above and beyond, when these guys are actually playing out these desires that they joke about in group chats, I just don't think that it works anymore. I think it just, especially for the right, it does not work. I guarantee everyone in that group chat knows who you are and hates you. Oh, for sure. These are the extremely online young Republicans. Of course they fucking hate me. Do you want to know why this kind of stuff doesn't matter? Look at Twitter. This kind of communication is no longer just done in private chat groups that actually showcase people's secret opinions. People say this stuff publicly and get hundreds of thousands of views on Twitter. The permission structure for being a reactionary has expanded dramatically. A part of that, and I think about this all the time, a part of that I think is just the way we communicate and the way we spend time online. As more and more of our interpersonal communication development actually takes place in an environment that is utterly removed from like your all of the other markers of what makes you a human being, where you can't tell if the other person on the other side of the screen is actually a fucking fully fleshed out adult with a fully functioning brain or an absolute sociopath. You end up assuming neutrality across the board. You end up assuming, I think, that the person that you're communicating with online is basically you on the other side. Like their background resembles you to a certain degree. And I think this environment, the way that we, the more we communicate almost exclusively online, the more vicious we become as well. And I'll give you one example of this, right? I think you're wrong. This still does matter in political circles. I believe all but one of the people mentioned in this article have been fired from their jobs or resigned. We're not at peak acceptance of racist garbage and shamelessness yet. Scary, it could get worse. Maybe. But I think if that was the case, Turning Point USA would have been shuttered a long time ago, especially considering that this is exactly what TPUSA used to do all the fucking time. And look where TPUSA is now. Let's continue.
Was exchanged in these Telegram messages.
You are born yesterday or just got out of a coma? Decide. Both. I was born yesterday and I was comatose. And today I woke up out of that coma.
Based on what your reporting has revealed.
Politico obtained over 7 months of thousands and thousands of messages in a Telegram group chat between, like you said, leaders in the young Republican state organizations in Arizona, New York, Kansas, and Vermont. Now, it's kind of a misnomer, young Republicans, because it's called the Young Republicans, but these are, full-grown adults, 18 to 40 years old. And over the course of these 7 months, they exchanged messages with, extremely anti-Semitic and racist comments.
Like when I hear this kind of stuff, I think to myself, like, how is this shocking? Because we are, and I mean this sincerely, we are like 2 election cycles, if election cycles happen at all going forward, we are 2 election cycles away from the president speaking like that. Okay. I'm gonna be honest. That's what it feels like to me. Like, cause the policies already reflect this desire, this vile attitude that people have. And slowly but surely, the Republicans have redesigned political discourse in this country to make people, sometimes by force, be much more open towards this kind of ridiculous, fascist, violent policy making. For us, it's a fork found in the kitchen moment, but for people who are less tapped in, it genuinely is upsetting to see. It's also especially insane because people in the older generations, especially older libs, don't see people in Gen Z and Gen Alpha talking like this because they see the younger generation as a hopeful generation that will fix everything. Yeah, for me, it's not even fork found in the kitchen. It's just like this is fork found in the fork factory, because I've known that the young Republican crop is almost entirely grouped up.
They talked about the love of Hitler with factions of their party, or even supporting slavery. This was a chat with members elected to lead their states within a prominent Republican youth political organization that numbers 15,000 people. And they were in a campaign to lead this organization nationally. My colleague and I, my colleague Emily,
I think people don't care, especially because the administration is openly putting to policy what these opinions actually are behind closed doors. When you have an administration that is also posturing as though they want to defend whiteness in this country, yeah, of course the people that are champions of that cause behind closed doors are going to be even more gross, okay? This is what I mean when I say that the permission structure has expanded so dramatically on the right. This is exactly the type of rhetoric that unironically is no longer hidden behind closed doors. I think it's like out in broad daylight. Nah, dog, the Republicans don't care, but the vast majority of people care about this. You have no idea how many white Facebook lib wine moms I have seen share the story. I hope the liberal wine moms will defend us.
really looked into this and wanted to see, why are they speaking like that to each other? And does this have anything to do with kind of the way that the norms of our political discourse have been changing, some would say, since President Trump came to power?
It's just, bro, like the Department of Homeland Security is literally Groyper posting every day, bro. Dude, this is why fascism is a fucking loser ideology, okay? It is a fucking loser ideology. Fascism is the ideology of fucking losers. They have no interest in helping others. They simply are constantly engaging in battle and in some instances violence to restore a mythological project of person because it's something that they lack internally. They have something that's missing. And that insecurity causes them to fantasize about the entire in-group being this superior, playing a superior role in society. And we have to like reassert dominance in this way. That's what I've seen in so many circumstances. Like when you're lacking something in your life and you have a sense of overwhelming entitlement and your personal experiences in the real world do not match what you thought society owed you. We're descendants of great Roman legionnaires. We're descendants of Romans, which is really interesting because Rome was an unimaginably diverse empire. Like these guys would literally look at like all of those like 5'4" North African dudes and be like, these were the fucking this is the beacon of white excellence. Like this doesn't make any fucking sense, but it's just you only go back to this mythological higher being and what your personhood actually represents, this broad unit that you're a part of that is destined by God to dominate, if you are deeply fucking insecure about what's going on in your immediate life.